Welcome to the deep dive. We help you get right to the heart of complex issues. Today, we're looking at something deeply personal, often hidden away in nursing home neglect, specifically bed sores and their devastating impact. We've got case details, family stories. We're focusing on one case, a 78-year-old man. His condition was treatable, but it just spiraled, led to a big settlement. Our goal,
Mm.
to understand how this could possibly happen and what it means for families dealing with elder care.
Exactly. And while it's easy to talk about systemic problems, facility negligence, what we're really exploring here is the individual story. It's about the human cost, the real suffering, and critically, the importance of someone stepping up to advocate.
Okay, let's get into it. This gentleman, 78 years old, Santa Clara, California, described as a devoted husband, father. He had a hip fracture, went into a facility January 2023. The outlook was actually pretty good initially, but that's where things took a really tragic turn.
Yeah, it's quite shocking how fast things can go wrong with neglect. Despite that hopeful start, within a very short time, the lack of proper care meant he developed a bed sore, stage 2, maybe stage 3, which for anyone listening means the skin was broken, the damage went down into the deeper tissue, bad enough he needed urgent hospital care.
Urgent transfer, and you'd hope, maybe think, okay, hospital, then a different nursing facility, things will get better now. He went to a second place after discharge. They gave assurances, promised good care.
But they didn't deliver. Our sources show his bed sore, which was treatable, remember, it got worse. It progressed to an infected stage 4 wound. We're talking exposed bone. That's the most severe level.
Exposed bone, it just sounds horrific. And it led to months of painful treatment, multiple surgeries, debridement that's removing dead tissue, and then 2 skin flap surgeries just to try and close the wound.
So the big question is, how? How does this happen in places meant to care for people? Well, during the legal process, the attorneys dug into it. And they found just fundamental failures. Things like basic repositioning, turning schedules, simply not being done. These are absolute requirements.
So not just accidental oversights.
No, it seems like more than that. They weren't following their own policies, their procedures, and they were violating state and federal regulations, rules designed specifically to prevent this kind of harm. You start to wonder, was profit being put ahead of the patient's actual safety and well-being?
Seems hard to conclude otherwise in this case. So, the outcome. After all that suffering, a $1.7 million settlement was reached. And pretty quickly, too, less than a year after the lawsuit was filed. Obviously, money doesn't erase the pain. But the lawyers pointed out it provided him and his wife closure, some compensation during a really tough recovery.
Yeah, and that brings us back to the bigger picture, doesn't it? The critical need for dedicated legal help. We saw a comment from a family member, Susan T., in a similar situation. She said the firm they worked with, Bedsore.Law, treated us like family, that they fought relentlessly. It really speaks to the power of having someone compassionate but also tenacious in your corner.
Absolutely. So, for you listening, what's the takeaway here? This case, it's a stark reminder. Nursing home neglect isn't some abstract issue. It hits real people, real families, hard. It shows the awful consequences, but also that there's a path to justice.
It really makes you think about what vigilance truly means in elder care settings. You have to ask questions. You have to be persistent. And if something seems wrong, getting expert advice early on can be crucial.
Right. And speaking of expert advice, something that stood out in our research about Bedsore.Law, the firm involved here, is how they approach these cases. They offer a free consultation, which is important when families are already stressed.
Yeah.
And their policy is strictly no recovery, no fee. So there's no financial risk up front.
That's a significant factor for many families.
Yeah, and they've recovered millions for families across the country, just like in this $1.7 million settlement we discussed. Having that kind of dedicated legal support, it can make a huge difference.
It absolutely can.
Yeah.
Holding facilities accountable, it's not just about compensation, it's about pushing for better standards of care overall.